The top stories tonight in Y News. The Philippine Coast Guard reports that the Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels once again harassed their vessel during the rotational and resupply mission conducted yesterday in Ayungin Shoal.
National Economic and Development Authority and Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan reveals that most of the government's ongoing infrastructure projects are meant to address flood problems in the country.
Gilas Pilipinas officially confirms final lineup for this year's FIBA World Cup.
And find out the reasons behind Japan's decision to start releasing radioactive wastewater into the ocean from its Fukushima nuclear plant later this week.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd of August, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Hardin Delgado.
First in the news, the Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels once again harassed the Philippine Coast Guard vessel during the rotational and resupply mission conducted yesterday in Ayungin Shoal. According to Commodore J. Tariela, spokesperson of the Philippine Coast Guard or PCG for the West Philippine Sea, about 2.5 nautical miles away from Ayungin Shoal, a CCG ship performed dangerous maneuvers and blocked the supply vessel. However, the Philippines resupply boat successfully entered Ayungin Shoal. Commodore Tariela strongly refuted Chinese Ambassador Wang Shilian's statement that they allowed the Philippines to enter the shoal. Tariela said that Philippine ships do not need to ask for permission from China to enter Ayungin, which is inside the exclusive economic zone of the country. He stressed, "We don't need to inform them what we are going to carry in our ship BRP Chara Madre that is stocked there."
As what I mentioned a while ago, ang ating supply boats, ang Philippine Coast Guard vessels, ay tahasan pa rin hinarang ng mga China Coast Guard vessels at ng kanilang Chinese maritime militia. It's not true na pinayagan nila ito at the same time, let me once again stress, there's no reason for us to ask permission from them. These waters falls within the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines.
Because what we are actually promoting here is not just our sovereign rights, but of course the implementation of a very important convention, which is the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea.
Students in school in San Fernando, La Union may experience inconvenience as their classrooms being built by soldiers primarily led by the United States. This is part of the annual Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Response or AHDR exercises known as Pacific Partnership spearheaded by the U.S. Alan Manansala will tell us why.
As part of the Pacific Partnership 2023 that commenced yesterday, August 22, two classroom buildings are being constructed by the 5th 48th Engineer Construction Battalion, 51st Engineer Brigade of the Philippine Army, and the United States Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 3 at Tangkigan Elementary School in Barangay Tangkigan, San Fernando, La Union. Previously, Tangkigan only had 7 classrooms for 160 students. With the assistance of PP-23, their school will receive an additional 2 rooms. This contribution from the US-led mission is a significant help for the school administration.
Ang pupunta dyan na grade level ay ang grade 5 and grade 6 po. Mga average po ng 30 pupils per grade level. Sila po kasi yung classroom po talaga nila talagang masasabi natin na condemnable na po talaga siya. So malaking tulong talaga ito, sir, para sa atin po dito sa mga mag-aaral natin.
PP23 also aims to strengthen the participants' capabilities in terms of humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, or HADR.
We want to meet the needs of the city. Yeah, we want to make sure that we're able to provide what you're looking for.
Ang laki talaga ng advantage on the part of the host nation, tayo yon, yung bansang Pilipinas. Because aside from that, na we receive resources, we receive yung expertise nila na ituturo sa ating responders. Basically tayo, kasama na rin po yung other uniform agencies and yung LGU, yung non-government organizations din na dito sa localities.
Within the scope of the HADR exercise, the training includes search and rescue exercises, medical and dental civic action programs, engineering projects, and a culminating scenario involving earthquake tsunami response.
Here in the Philippines, you do get typhoons, and I know that you are already incredibly resilient to that. We see that in the way that you as a nation bounce back after these events. But again, I think that we're here to learn from how you do that and to hopefully share some knowledge and to set us up so that when these things do come to pass, we're prepared to respond together in partnership.
This marks the 18th occasion of conducting the exercise to enhance the interoperability of allied forces in the Indo-Pacific region within the realm of HADR. Emphasizing the goal of the HADR exercise, Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Romeo S. Browner Jr. highlighted that its aim is to improve disaster response capabilities and build a safer and more resilient community. Furthermore, aside from the Tangkigan Elementary School, there will also be a reconstruction of classrooms at Dalangayan Schoolhouse in Santiago and Katbangen. Alan Manansala, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
National Economic and Development Authority and Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan provided insights into the recent developments stemming from the 8th NEDA board meeting today in Malacanang. According to the NEDA chief, most of the infrastructure projects of the administration will address the flood problems. Nel Maribohok reports.
National Economic and Development Authority Director General and Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan divulged that most of the government's ongoing infrastructure projects are meant to address flood problems in the country. This as NEDA chief disclosed at a palace briefing that there are 71 ongoing infrastructure projects worth 4.11 trillion pesos as of July 2023.
Many of these projects are actually are meant to address the perennial flooding issues. No? If you go in the list of the IFPs, many of these are related to water management and related projects, no? That or infrastructure projects that address flooding and access to reliable water supply.
To recall, a total of 194 infrastructure flagship projects or IFPs have been approved by the NEDA board, which is headed by President Marcos. Out of 123 remaining IFPs, Secretary Balisacan noted that 27 have received the go signal for execution. The Marcos administration committed to bolster connectivity and generate more jobs as it pursues the efficient implementation of high-impact infrastructure projects.
By ensuring the efficient implementation of high-impact infrastructure projects, the Marcos administration aims to get the job done. We will enhance connectivity, reduce the cost of doing business, promote the creation of high-quality jobs, and ultimately reduce poverty sustainably to improve the lives of every Filipino.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Department of Justice or DOJ Secretary Crispin Remulla confirmed that one of the arrested foreign nationals in a scam hub in Pasay City went missing. Hence, a manhunt operation is now ongoing to recapture the suspect. Remulla also asked the authorities such as the National Bureau of Investigation or NBI to give details over the incident. The Justice Chief wants the possible responsible to explain.
Marami kasing factors dyan. Kulang na kulang tayo sa facilities para ma-formally detain natin lahat talaga na maayos.
In the recent raid by the government authorities in Pasay, millions of pesos of cash and thousands of registered were recovered.
And for the news abroad, child fatalities resulting from firearm incidents in the United States have reached an all-time high based on a study by the American Academy of Pediatrics, or AAP. The data used in the study was taken from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's mortality database, leading to gun violence claiming the top spot for cause of death for children in the country since 2020. Joselito Liquido will give us the details live. Yes, Joselito, good evening.
Good evening, Mariel. A recent study by the American Academy of Pediatrics, or AAP, highlights a concerning trend stating that child fatalities due to firearms incidents in the United States have surged to an unprecedented level. The study, utilizing data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC's mortality database, reveals that 4,752 children lost their lives as a result of gun-related injuries in 2021. This marks an increase from the previous year, with 4,368 such fatalities recorded in 2020 and 3,390 in 2019. This made gun violence the leading cause of death for children in the country since 2020. The release of this study coincided with the Tennessee's legislature that was prompted by a tragic school shooting in Nashville earlier in the year, which resulted in the deaths of 3 children and 3 educators. Annie Andrews, a pediatrician from South Carolina and a researcher dedicated to preventing gun violence, expressed her dismay, stating that she has never fathomed treating so many children with gunshot wounds. The study also shed light on a distressing racial disparity, revealing that approximately 67% of firearm homicides involved black children, while white children accounted for 78% of gun-assisted suicides. Iman Omar, a student at Vanderbilt University and an advocate against gun violence associated with Students Demand Action, also shared that every year in Tennessee alone, 128 children and teenagers lose their lives to gun-related incidents. Tennessee's Governor Bill Lee, personally impacted by the Nashville school shooting, called on lawmakers during the special session to bolster red flag laws. These laws are designed to prevent individuals deemed threats from obtaining firearms. Meanwhile, the Tennessee Firearms Association expressed concerns about potential infringements on Second Amendment rights, emphasizing that while some Republican legislators oppose red flag laws, few had categorically rejected any measures that might negatively impact those rights. Back to you, Mariel.
Thank you, Joselito Liquido, for that live report. 2 military airfields in Russia, where supersonic warplanes are stored, have reportedly been struck by a Ukrainian drone. Experts see the drone strike strategy as a way to degrade Moscow's dominance in the skies. Ann Gonzalez will give us the details live. Good evening, Ann.
Yes, Mariel, the Shaikovka military airbase that has been used by Russia to house supersonic warplanes since the start of its invasion had been hit by a drone strike on Monday, August 21, leaving at least 1 aircraft damaged, according to Ukraine's defense intelligence. Ukraine spokesperson Andriy Yusov stated the drone strike was carried out from within Russian territory in clear coordination with the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ukraine's Defense Ministry. Moscow did not comment on the incident, but a Russian social media blog confirmed the attack and claimed that the damaged aircraft was unused. A Russian telegram channel named MASH also claimed the Ukrainian UAV that landed in Shaikovka Air Base was spotted promptly and shot down. Yusov, however, stated that Russia was trying to conceal the true extent of losses and damage, as Russian Governor Yaroslav Shabsha earlier said that Ukrainian attacks were repelled. Just 2 days prior to the Monday attack, Russian ministry confirmed that Salt Sea military airfield had also been hit by Ukrainian drones and had caused fire. The said airbase was used to house Tu-23 M3 supersonic bombers. Meanwhile, some Russian military bloggers have criticized its Ministry of Defense for not storing the aircraft in hangars where they would have been protected, according to US-based think tank. Experts also believe that the destruction of Tu bombers have no major impact, but the reaction of Russian military bloggers shows, quote, such deep attacks support larger Ukrainian efforts to degrade Russian morale, unquote. Marielle?
Thank you, Annie Gonzalez, for that live report. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Marielle. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, reiterated that the rotation and resupply missions to BRP Chara Madre in Ayungin Shoal are legitimate and an exercise of the Philippine sovereignty. This is in response to Chinese ambassador to the Philippines Wang Shilian's claim that China allowed the resupply mission to Ayungin Shoal because the supply boats did not have construction materials. In a statement, the DFA stresses that the resupply missions to BRP Chara Madre are routine activities within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. The agency adds the country's exercise of sovereign rights and jurisdiction within its maritime zones is not subject to any other country's approval.
Meanwhile, the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, is planning to have automated special elections in Negros Oriental to fill the vacated post of Arnie Teves. Dante Amento tells us why.
Commission on Elections, or COMELEC spokesperson Director Janrex Lojangco explained they can still utilize their old vote counting machines, or VCMs. This is for the possible special election in the 3rd District of Negros Oriental to fill the vacant post of expelled Congressman Arnie Teves. The COMELEC will need 30 to 40 million pesos.
Tingin po namin din, mas magiging epektibo kung iwalay po natin gagawin ito at kapareho po ng isinagawa natin doon sa Cavite. Kung sa Cavite po, pareho rin po yan, legislative district din, ay nag-automated elections tayo. Mukhang mas nararapat din po na kapareho rin ganun ang gawin natin.
In February of this year, the poll body conducted an automated special poll in the 7th Legislative District of Cavite after Secretary Crispin Rimulya was appointed in the Justice Department. But the poll body clarified it is not any more feasible if the election will be conducted simultaneously with the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, or BSKE, this October 30, 2023. They do not have enough time to prepare, plus the budget is not yet available.
Ang katuwang po nito, syempre po, yung paglalaan po ng sapat na pondo para po magawa natin ng special elections po, ano? At ang sabi nga po ni Chairman Garcia, kung matutuloy po ng formal na kahilingan ng House of Representatives, nakikinig po kami na kung pwede wag po isabay sa October, kundi gawin po natin ito sa December para po makapag-concentrate tayo itong October sa barangay and SK elections.
Based on COMELEC data, there are over 300,000 regular registered voters in the 3rd District of Negros Oriental and 104,468 voters for the SK. Dante Amento, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police will reassign the 329 PNP personnel who have relatives running for the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, or BSKE, this year. PNP spokesperson, Police Colonel Jean Fajardo said this is in connection with a pronouncement of PNP Chief Police General Benjamin Acorda Jr. to ensure that the cops remain nonpartisan. Colonel Fajardo adds that the reassignment of personnel will also prevent speculations that the police may influence the results of the elections.
Hanggang pinsang buo po, yung mga fourth degree of consanguinity po at affinity po ay sinisika po natin na ilipat po sila at ialis po doon sa kanilang mga present assignment para hindi rin po maisipan na makaka-impluwensya po sila sa darating po na eleksyon.
Meanwhile, the PNP is considering 27 areas in the country to possibly include in the red category for this election. Fajardo said that the 27 areas are from Region 6, 7, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao.
Almost a week before the resumption of classes, the Education Department tells lawmakers that the country is facing over 100,000 classroom backlogs. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
159,000. That's the number of classroom backlogs in the country, according to the Department of Education, or DepEd. In today's hearing of the Senate Committee on Basic Education, DepEd Assistant Secretary Francis Bringas says the figure includes the 440 classrooms that were damaged by calamities. To address this, a 397 billion peso budget is needed. But the Senate panel's chairperson, Sherwin Gatchalian, admits it is a far cry from the 10 billion peso fund that was allocated to DepEd for the construction of classrooms this year that can only build around 7,100 classrooms, while only 10 billion pesos is being proposed for next year. The lawmaker urges the department to look for ways to decongest classrooms. This as he notes that many classrooms in congested government-run schools have excess students than the ideal classroom-to-student ratio. The agency says they are now focusing on decongesting schools in Metro Manila and highly urbanized cities. They are observing 3 shifts a day, beginning at 5:30 in the morning up to 7 in the evening.
We are looking at the disadvantage of having 3 shifts. That is why we are also prioritizing these particular schools so that we can go down as low as 2 shifts only for this particular school, so as not to compromise or to sacrifice the instructional time or the time of the learners inside the classrooms.
Gatchalian also wants the DepEd to study on how the voucher program will help decongest public schools by giving subsidies for learners to study in private schools.
I'll tell you upfront, the 400 billion is impossible to allocate. But maybe we can allocate a few more for voucher system to decongest some. Some of the schools that are experiencing 60 students to classroom, even I heard even more.
Recognizing the growing population in public schools, the Coordinating Council of Private Educational Associations, or COCOPEA, expresses its willingness to help in addressing school congestion.
We have the facilities. We can absorb the excess students. Perhaps one way of doing that as well is to provide more subsidies for our students and teachers.
Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
With the ongoing transition of schools in enlisted men's barrio barangays in Makati City that were declared by Supreme Court as part of Taguig City, teachers, parents, and students admit experiencing struggle, especially with the opening of classes. Gladys Tuabi details why.
From the tables, chairs, and other school equipment at the Benigno Ninoy S. Aquino High School, each will be taken back by the Makati City Local Government Unit, while the transition of schools in enlisted men's barrio barangays takes place. Teachers and even parents admit their struggles in this situation, as budgeting and instruction materials for the learners might be affected.
I think ayon, babalik kami sa manual kasi as a teacher, hindi pwedeng mahinto yung serbisyo namin para sa mga bata. So, since ang teacher naman sa Pilipinas, including us, kaya namin mag-adapt pero how long? Hanggang kailan kami maghihintay? So ngayon, dahil wala pa kaming mga gagamiting laptops, mag-a-adjust muna kami. Siguro, balik tayo, nating bits na traditional naman.
Ang kaibahan po dito sa Makati ay lahat po ng bata dito ay talagang scholar, no? Pati baon, sinasagot po yan ng city government. Nawa po yung Taguig, ay kung hindi po mabatayan, yung kalidad iangat po para nang sa ganun po yung mga magulang, yung mga alalahanin po nila ay mabawasan.
Even students share their own struggle as they feel that their hands-on experience will also be affected. After-school equipment will be taken back without replacement yet.
Parang nakakalungkot po na yung experiences ko, na-experience ko ng grade 11 is parang mauudlot. Kasi nga po, mababawasan po ng materials. And it also may decrease the quality of the learning that we will receive since we're more on sciences, we're more on hands-on learning po in sciences. So without the materials we need, if they were to be taken back, may hirapan po kami mag-hands-on. Para ang mangyari na lang po is magiging theory, puro lessons na lang po ituturo sa amin.
In the end, what they only wish to Taguig City local government is to get the same benefits they receive in Makati City and the fast replacement of the school materials that will be taken back for the benefit of learners. Gladys Tuwabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board announced that city and provincial bus operators will file a fare hike petition next week. JP Nunez tells us why.
Same with the other modes of public transportations, city and provincial bus operators also lament over high fuel costs. With this concern, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB said they had a discussion where operators of buses decided to file a fare hike petition next week.
Nakakausap ko na rin po ang mga operators ng buses, city buses at saka provincial buses. May nakaamba na rin ho silang petisyon na ihahain po sa ating opisina sa susunod na linggo at sila rin po ay hihingi ng fare increase.
LTFRB Chairman Teofilo Guadis III have not yet disclosed how much fare increase they will ask. The looming fare hike petition of city and provincial bus operators will be on top of the fare hike petition of transport groups who seek 2 peso and 5 peso fare increase and the 1 peso provisional fare increase and the motion for reconsideration of taxi operators to increase their flag down rate to 70 pesos from current 40 pesos. Chairman Guadis explains that fare increase will be a tedious process before the approval. It needs another review of the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA on its possible effect to the economy.
Pagkatapos po namin mabalangkas ito, iaakyat po namin yung desisyon namin or kukonsulta pa ho kami sa National Economic Development Authority. Bakit po? Sa bawat pagtaas po ng ating pamasahe ay inaapektuhan po nito ang ekonomiya na posibleng magkaroon po tayo ng inflation.
It was in October 2022 when LTFRB grants fare hike petitions for jeepney, bus, and taxis. JP Nunez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology observes the series of earthquakes in Camarines Sur. The agency noted that the recorded earthquakes may be a precursor to a larger magnitude earthquake. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology or PHIVOLCS recorded 119 earthquakes in the area of Ragay, Camarines Sur from June until today, August 23. PHIVOLCS called these events an earthquake swarm because they are considered small earthquakes with the highest magnitude being 4.4. The agency noted that there are local faults in the area and a portion of the Philippine fault passes through the Ragay Gulf.
So ito po ay mga minor lang po or light earthquakes lang po. Hindi po siya nagkakaroon ng parang main shock or malaking earthquake, kundi parang nagka-cluster lang po siya sa isang area po. Na definitely po, in times, nawawala din po siya. Pero po, mag-o-occur pa din po siya in a few days. Magkakaroon pa rin po ng mga activities po dun sa area. Pero in time po, medyo mawawala din po siya.
Earthquake swarms were also recorded in the area in 1993 and 2021. PHIVOLCS also considers a possible scenario that these earthquakes may be an indication of a strong earthquake.
So dahil po nagka-earthquake swarm doon sa area, gumagalaw po yung sinasabi nating local fault doon sa area. So possible po na maging indication po siya ng malakas na paglindol.
The strongest shaking that hit the area was the Ragay Gulf earthquake in 1973 with a magnitude 7.4, where the highest intensity felt was 8. PHIVOLCS reminds the public to be alert and to perform drop, cover, and hold when a strong earthquake occurs. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And in other global news, Japan is set to release radioactive wastewater into the ocean from its Fukushima nuclear plant later this week, while authorities warned since 2019 that there is no other option but to execute the plan amid the fears and concerns of future contamination. Ryuji Sasaki will tell us the details live. Yes, Ryuji, good evening.
Good evening, Marielle. Fukushima nuclear power plant's massive tanks containing radioactive wastewater rapidly dwindling in space to store and treat the wastewater that requires space to safely decommission the plant. Therefore, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced that the government had formally decided to release the water on Thursday, August 24, 2023. According to the state-owned electricity firm Tokyo Electric Power Company, or TEPCO, the wastewater will travel through an undersea tunnel about 1 kilometer off the coast into the Pacific Ocean. And the International Atomic Energy Agency, including the United Nations nuclear watchdog, will monitor the release and the situation for years to come. Many countries, however, voiced out their concerns about the high risk poses in the plan since there is no technology available to take away the radioactive tritium, which could harm marine life and, over time, human health. Meanwhile, the public's anxiety grew with fear for their health as they begin to stock up on supplies because this could be the end of many livelihoods. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Ryuji Sasaki, reporting live from Japan. The African Union has suspended Niger from all its activities following the military coup in the country late last month. The immediate suspension will remain until constitutional order is restored in Niger, according to the decision made by the 55 member states of the African Union on August 14. The Union called on its members and the international community to reject this unconstitutional change to the government and to avoid any action that might legitimize the junta. The Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, had initially given the coup leaders 7 days to restore power to the elected president, with multiple attempts at dialogue and diplomacy by allies such as the United States and the European Union. ECOWAS is now preparing a standby force for potential deployment to Niger, but the African Union Peace and Security Council will assess the economic, social, and security implications of military intervention. And those are the reasons behind the stories in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
Exciting games in the UNTV Volleyball League will once again be witnessed tomorrow, August 24, at the Paca Arena in Manila. The DFA emissaries and judiciary justice servers will face off in the first game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This will be followed by the showdown between the Senate Lady Defenders and Ombudsman Graft Busters at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the main game will feature the clash between the PNP Lady Patrollers and AFP Lady Gunners at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. As of now, the AFP, PNP, and Ombudsman each have 1 win. You can still watch the triple header games of the UVL live on the UNTV News and Rescue YouTube channel.
The national basketball team of Italy recently started practicing at the Araneta Coliseum upon their arrival in the Philippines. They are set to face Team Philippines, who are eagerly looking forward to the matchup. Meanwhile, the final lineup of Gilas Pilipinas has also been announced. Rina Villamor Camara reports.
Arriving in Manila, Italy is at a high morale after winning their latest game against New Zealand in the FIBA Solidarity Cup just last Monday in China. The team is expected to face Angola, Dominican Republic, and our very own Gilas Pilipinas in Group A in the 2023 FIBA World Cup.
Headed by coach Gianmarco Pozzeco, the Azzurri, their team nickname, started their practices at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. The team focused on scrimmages and shooting skills, making sure they will be able to be consistent in the basket. 2 hours is allotted per team to practice on the venues they will play in. As per their head coach, 2 players won't see action for the team: Darius Thompson due to family matters and NBAer Danilo Gallinari due to an ACL injury. However, Utah Jazz forward Simon Fontecchio will be joining the team. Also part of the team is Nicolo Melli, who is a superstar in the EuroLeague. Luigi Datome, their team captain, expects a great run for Italy.
We can expect a team very hungry, humble, but willing to play good basketball with enthusiasm, togetherness, and willing to have fun for sure.
Meanwhile, Simone Fontecchio is excited to face his teammate in Utah Jazz, Jordan Clarkson.
It's gonna be fun. I love JC. He's a great guy. I know here he's like a legend, a rock star. So I can't wait to see him on the court. I can't wait to to see how the people is gonna cheer for him. I know Philippines are very huge fan of it.
Coach Pozzeco, who is a fan of Manny Pacquiao, shared his insights on the team.
We won last 7 games, so of course my players are in shape and they build a really good chemistry. They fight whenever they have to fight. They love to stay together. They love each other. They love my staff. But they are amazing. So we show to our country that everybody can dream, to achieve something good. But then everybody knows in sports, especially right now in basketball, that in the World Championship, that there are many teams that got a really good roster, and so everything can happen.
Italy has won 7 friendly games ahead of the World Cup last Monday that involves opponents of Turkey, China, Serbia, Greece, Puerto Rico, Brazil, and New Zealand. The Italians will face Angola on the opening day on August 25 of the Philippine Arena, followed by their fight against Dominican Republic on the 27th, and will wrap up their group phase as they face Gilas Pilipinas on the 29th of August. As for Gilas Pilipinas, they have finally announced their 12-man roster that includes Jordan Clarkson, Kai Soto, Dwight Ramos, Junmar Fajardo, Scotty Thompson, AJ Edu, Japet Aguilar, Jamie Malonzo, Kiefer Ravenna, Renz Abando, Roger Pogoy, and CJ Perez. Rina Villamor Camara, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of James, chapter 4, verse 6, it says, "But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble." And those are the reasons behind the news, August 23, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.